This is episode 2 of 3 of the Don't Revive Me Bro podcast interview with Daniel Matros, the Global Battlefield Community Manager for DICE. So we've heard a little bit about the differences between Battlefield 3 in regards to consoles and PC, in regards to map sizes. Is there anything else that'll be majorly different?
Nothing that I can actually announce at this point when it comes to consoles and PC. We've announced 24 players on Xbox 360 and PS3, and we've said that is because of the hardware limitations. And I understand that people want the true Battlefield experience that you get with PC in consoles too. It's 64 players. Then again, if you're not running a very, very high-end PC, you're not going to be able to play on 64-player servers either.
Right.
That is because of the hardware limitations. If you don't have a graphics card that can pull the weight, then, well, you're going to wind up playing 20 versus 20 or 10 versus 10 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And, I really feel for the people who say we want more than 24 players. I really do. But then again, looking at what we're doing with Battlefield 3, looking at what we're creating, 24 players is enough for consoles.
Yeah.
And that is what I can say about that. I mean, of course, people are going to say, do you want $5 or you want $10? Well, I'll take 10.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, 5 will do. I'll take 5. I mean, people want bigger things. They want bigger maps. They want bigger player counts, of course. And that also has to fit into the vision what we're doing. It also has to be technically doable.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
You don't want to put 64 players on consoles and then have everybody complaining about frame rate lag and games crashing and stuff like that. So it has to be playable.
Exactly. Yeah. And there also needs to be a certain quality to what we're delivering, to what we're saying we're doing.
Right.
I mean, if we ramp up the consoles with a lot more players, then we don't really necessarily cover the quality. If there are always flame drops, like you said, if there are bandwidth issues, then it's not fun to play. And people are going to drop that game. We want people to stick around and play our game for years, like they've been doing with Battlefield 2 and 42, for instance. A lot of people are still playing Battlefield 42.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So I mean, when are you planning on putting up some multiplayer footage? So why hasn't any been shown yet? Because I know a lot of people in the community are absolutely dying to see the multiplayer footage.
Yeah. Well, that's mainly because there are changes being made to everything in this game from day to day. This game is still under development. Not everything is final, and we don't want to give out footage that is not final, since that can come to change over the next few months.
Yeah.
Let's say you're a game developer. You have this awesome idea for multiplayer, and you make some spaceships and you make some drones to go with that, and you show it off to people and say, look, we have spaceships and drones, it's going to be awesome, it's big. And then after 3 months you realize that this spaceship is taking up too much memory, and this happens, and you can't really balance that out as you want to. Then you have to go and tell people that that spaceship, we're not going to have that in.
Right.
We cut it. I mean, we don't want to be in that position where we cut things. So when we do announce multiplayer stuff, when we do give out multiplayer footage, we want to stick with that footage. We want to make sure that people get what they see. Okay. And at this point, in the stage of development of BF3, that's not really possible. So we're going to wait with showing Battlefield 3 footage or multiplayer footage until we're really sure about what we're doing, and if that's going to stick in the game.
Yeah. So I mean, there's clearly very stringent processes you have in place then around the type of information you can and can't release, right?
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people say, "Oh my God, you can't say anything." Well, that's true. I can't really say that much because it's a game under development.
Yep.
And when information is being released about anything that goes with a game, with Bad Company 2 Vietnam, I can take that as a reference, since that's the pretty much first title I worked on. It's important that we pay attention to the timing when we do it. And it goes without saying that you need to actually deliver what you say you're going to deliver.
Yes.
And if you take a look at Map Pack 7, for instance, we didn't really give out a release date until week before it came out. That's pretty much because we wanted to make sure that we can deliver on what we're saying.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
on top of doing that, the things that go out, the game or the patch or whatever it is, it has to live up to the quality that we at DICE expect from ourselves. We can't just push out something that is partially done, since that wouldn't really fit well with what we want with the game or our vision or our goals.
Yeah. Right on.
And every bit of information that we actually release, we have so many strategies in place to do that in a methodical way. And we can raise awareness and excitement level on all our social network sites, and provide more in-depth when we publish content on our blog. If you remember Vietnam back in the days, we had, or Bad Company 2 Vietnam, we didn't really say what weapons we were going to have in the game, but they came up in a blog post. The repair tool and the syringe and that kind of stuff. That's because we wanted to do it in a more nicer way to show people. Or the flamethrower, we didn't tell anyone about the flamethrower until I went back to London and showed it at an EU showcase. And why did I show it? Why did I show it at an EU showcase? Well, that's the biggest impact. The press is going to be all over. They're going to be like, "Wow, a beautiful flamethrower! That is awesome!"
Yeah.
And no one is going to miss that flamethrower.
Right.
And as a company that sells products, we actually sell games. It's very important to realize that we are a company that is dependent on success.
Yes.
We can't really announce things and then draw back some stuff and say, "Oh, wait a minute, guys, forget about that footage you saw 2 months back." It doesn't really work that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Right on.
And it's still pre-alpha, correct?
Yeah, it's still pre-alpha.
Yeah, so there's a long way to go, and I think people need to understand that. If you're constantly making changes, you can't give firm yeses or nos. So I hope people understand that.
Yep.
Well, some won't, but I think that we try and be somewhat distinguished gentlemen here on the podcast. So I think we'll let you off the hook with that. And I'm not even going to go over and look at the live chat. We'll let you off the hook there. So
thanks.
I'm used to that working environment, right? And the company I work for, we have very strict controls around the type of information that can be shared, and sometimes, well, frequently actually, if there's a project going on that could damage the company competitively if it was leaked, or if information was leaked too early, we NDA groups of people inside the company, so they can't tell other people in the company. And my wife works for the company as well. Like sometimes, even though technically I suppose we could talk about it, we just won't talk about things that are going on at work. And it's just kind of the way it is in a competitive environment. When you, and the gaming industry is a fiercely competitive environment. So I think people have to appreciate that fact to a certain extent. And those that have professional experience working in companies, working in competitive environments, probably can appreciate that a little bit better at this point in their lives. So. So with all that being said and information release, what are your plans for the community, for the Battlefield community from here until the launch of Battlefield 3 and then beyond?
Let's see. Nothing.
Nothing, huh?
No, I'm just kidding. That is a huge question, and the main answer would actually be to support the community, but then again, what is supporting? I mean, everyone is talking about, well, we need to support communities. We need to make them grow. Well, how are you going to make them grow? I mean, they just don't grow by themselves. They grow to a certain percent by themselves, but you have to do something to make it grow, And what will we, as DICE, focus on in terms of community? We will keep this high level of communication towards our players when it comes to the game and community-related aspects. And we're going to keep pumping a lot of information into our social networking sites and our forums. It's very important for us to know what people think and feel about decisions we take and what the crowd wants. I mean, there are there are a lot of things being discussed in the studio, and where someone says, Daniel, can you please go around in the community and ask for feedback? What do they think about this? What do you think about that? So I spend a lot of times on the forums reading posts, and I don't really want to cause any speculation, so that's why I'm not starting up topics, asking them, so what do you think about this?
Right.
They're going to be like, oh my god, you suck, you're going to have that in the game, I'm not buying it, no way. So I really don't want to cause any speculation at all. So I'm keeping a low profile on my feedback things. But people should be aware that everything they post, or pretty much 90% of the things that they post in the forums, is always being read by me or the German community manager or the French community manager or the community managers over at EA in North America. We always read our forums. An important focus regarding that is to know what the crowd wants, to know what people think about Battlefield in general. And, well, that's the game. And for the community, well, we have a few projects running right now. The first project, everyone's pretty much noticed that it's the exclusive podcast that we have together with Bash and Slash, where we bring lots of different developers in these shows and also discuss game development strategies, and so you guys can get to know the people that are behind the screens. We had a podcast going with Dice Figge, Niklas Figreus, who was the lead designer on Vietnam, and we also had Christina Coffin, who did an amazing podcast. She was at the GDC. She won a Software Engineers Award for women in gaming, or women in games, it's called. So that was amazing. That's great. And then we have community challenges that we're putting up. The last one we had was give us your creative feedback, and we oh my god, we had so many funny posts. I liked it a lot. And oh, by the way, I would like to announce something on the DRMB podcast.
Cool.
A new community challenge.
Right on.
All right.
Which is cool. And Colin, you're not allowed to compete, by the way, because you're just gonna win. No, it's I'm gonna put this in the community press room and on our blog and forums as well. But a new community challenge is coming up, and that's to remake the Battlefield 2, the Battlefield theme song, with any instrument you like.
Wow.
Okay.
That is pretty cool, right? And
Yeah.
there will be lots of cool prizes to go with that, for the community sites that post it, and also the people who win the competition.
Awesome.
Bagpipes are really sexy, so if you have a bagpipe, play it. Record it. I love bagpipes.
Well, that'll be exciting. I know I seen the last community challenge, and yes, like you said, there's a lot of funny things and a lot of interesting ideas.
Yeah,
So,
I
yeah.
mean, we have a lot of community sites that are coming up that need the visitors. They need a way to interact with people, and that's why we at Dice. That's why we're releasing the blueprints of our ideas when it comes to community competitions to the community, so they can run the competitions, and of course we will support them with prizes and that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
And you've already seen the Pixel Enemy channels, right?
Yep.
They are awesome. Planet Battlefield is an awesome site, and there are a lot of other fantastic sites out there. Don'tRevivMeBro.com is a very good site. And all of these sites, they deserve promotion and recognition, so we're going to try to highlight them through our Twitter channels and Facebook and whatnot. So yeah, more competition and giveaways as well. Everyone loves giveaways.
They do.
They
do.
do.
They're very, very popular on YouTube. I am seriously considering doing several major giveaways myself. So remember, folks, like and favorite. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do a damn big giveaway. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So where else are we going to hear about Battlefield 3? What are the big planned events that are coming up?
Well, we've announced E3.
Yep. Okay.
Which is going to be great. I've never been to E3, and I would love to go. The only problem is I don't like flying.
Oh.
Okay.
That's
That's got to be a sucky part of your job then, eh?
yeah. I mean, I don't really like. I like the airplane, and I don't like the food. I don't have any problems sitting in an airplane chair. they're only for 2 hours or half an hour. That's okay. I could do half an hour. But
Yeah.
when I flew to San Francisco, I had 3 hours to London.
Yeah.
Then I had to switch planes, and then it was 9 or 10 hours to San Francisco, and that was horrible.
Wow.
Yeah. That would combine my two worst trips together, I think, because I'm sort of on the east coast of Canada, and I've been to California and Vegas and those types of things, and I've actually been to Stockholm as well. And individually from where I am, sort of in the middle, those are long ass flights. So to do that in one shot, hats off to you. Glad it's you, not me.
Yeah.
Need a couple of days for downtimes at either end.
Yeah, it's like someone needs to smack you in the head before you go on the airplane, so you pass out.
Yeah.
Something. But then you're gonna show up with bruises, and Border Patrol isn't really gonna take kindly to that.
No, actually, last time I was, the only time I've been to Stockholm once, and my stopover between Halifax, which is the airport I flew out of here, and Stockholm was actually Amsterdam. So on the way back from Stockholm, I booked like a 48-hour layover in Amsterdam where I didn't sleep. So when I came back through Canadian customs, having been, from Stockholm to Amsterdam and then back to Halifax, in about 48 hours on no sleep, I got taken into a private room and searched quite thoroughly. Not a cavity search, but I did take a step back when she snapped on rubber gloves. So anyway, I tried to make light of the situation. But
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm always scared when I try to fly back from the U.S. or China or whatever. It's like, oh my God, they're gonna pick me. They're gonna put me in a small cage, and they're gonna search me.
Yeah,
like that. I kind of expect that. So
I find it's funny because a lot of countries you go through the airports in like the European Union and stuff, it's not as the security isn't as imposing, it's not as in your face, but it seems like the equipment they have is better. Like their metal detector is more sensitive. You can walk through a metal detector in London, and you've gone through, like I had gone through airports in Canada and the US and wear the exact same outfit when I'm traveling. I'm pretty much a routine guy when it comes to that. And things that never set things off in North America set it off in London. And so I was like, okay. So, I mean, the approach to security is very different in European countries. They tend to sort of sit back and observe, and it's more passive and higher quality equipment. They like to be in your face and very imposing, especially in the U.S. So it's not being from there when you're standing in line with your passport to get into the U.S. and we need passports actually to travel from Canada to the States now. Mm-hmm. It's not rosy. You're sitting there shitting bricks sometimes in line.
Yeah, I remember when I flew to New York and I landed in the Newark airport in Jersey. This Border Patrol dude, he was like, "So what's your business here?" I was like, "So I'm here on an EA press event." He was like, "Oh my God, you're doing Medal of Honor?" Like, "Oh, I'm not really here for Medal of Honor. I'm here for Bad Company 2 Vietnam." It was like, "Okay, but Medal of Honor is awesome. Have you played it?" Like, yeah, I've played it. It's good. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not really into Medal of Honor. I'm more into Battlefield. It was like, "Oh, but Medal of Honor, it's good, isn't it?" It was like he was
yes.
like, yeah, he was like asking me about that, and he was asking me a lot about Medal of Honor and the weapons and everything, and while he was asking that, he was like, "So put your fingers. I need your fingerprints. And by the way, what weapons do you have?" It was like, it was hilarious.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. That's not like any of my experiences going through U.S. airports so far. So.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. So, go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
Yeah. So, kind of, you touched on Medal of Honor. It's kind of a good segue. Are there any updates on the beta at all? Is that still exclusive to Medal of Honor, or are you guys planning on doing anything special with that?
We haven't really worked out all the details on the beta for everyone to know about. So when I mean worked out, we haven't really announced anything on the beta.
Yeah.
So I can't really say that much about it right now since I don't really have all the information that is necessary for me to make a good statement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I mean, at a very, very high level, it's still something that's that's being considered anyway is the possibility of a beta.
Yeah, well, of course, that's what we announced.
Okay,
That
awesome. Yep.
if you buy that special copy of Medal of Honor, you get exclusive access to Battlefield 3 beta.
Okay.
That was back in September or October, I think.
Yep, absolutely. So you're gonna make it so we need the Medal of Honor game disc to play the Battlefield beta, huh?
Yes, go out and buy it, Colin. Damn it.
Actually, it's funny because I had two copies. I had two copies of the limited edition because there was a concern that my original one wasn't going to show up on time, and so I actually wound up getting two copies of it to have it on release day, and for some reason there was some mistake in the charging from the EA store and all that, so like the other one was at a reduced price. I forget the whole details, but I actually have it, own it twice for Xbox, so I sent my my spare copy to Stoneface Lock, so we get still we've hopped on Xbox once or twice to play Medal of Honor since then, but I always wind up back on Bad Company too. So anyway, I know that there's been some rumored release dates and all that, but definitely still expecting Battlefield 3 this year, 2011. Is it just rumor at this point because I've read some different blog posts, or is there actually any firmer guidelines that you guys are able to kind of talk about around when the release date's going to be? Because there was like a rumored post somewhere that it was early November, and just trying to sort through what's reality and what's just fiction and rumor.
Yeah, well, EA, the CEO of the EA Games label said that it's coming out in November.
Okay.
A few days, I think it was 2 days ago or yesterday or whatever.
Okay.
But we really haven't given out a date on when in November, and it might even be in December, might be in October. We don't really know. He said November. But then again, a game needs to be finished before it's shipped. So, and we had our own deadlines before that was announced. So I can't really comment on what date or if it's specifically in November, but around that time frame.
Yep. Okay. So that's a very popular release time for first-person shooters. So who are you guys looking at as the competition for Battlefield 3? Like, what are you? You've seen lots of different statements in the media. Now, is DICE targeting the other big players in the market? Are you guys expecting Battlefield 3 to become the most popular FPS title to come out this year? What are you guys thinking?
I know there's been a lot of articles and a lot of videos about Battlefield targeting COD, and I would like to say that I don't really share that opinion. I mean, of course, we're a competitive studio. We need market shares. We need to outsell the other game and that kind of stuff. But but again, finance and sales, that's for other people to worry about. I think we at DICE we're busy with building our game and making that game perfect. And if you saw the tweet going out from David Goldfarb, Locust 9, he said we're making our game the best we can. That's pretty much what we do.
I mean, so what you're saying is you're not specifically doing things to put into the game to directly target a Call of Duty audience. You're doing your thing, and hopefully the game's going to speak for itself, sort of thing, as opposed to taking things that are done in other franchises like Call of Duty and bringing those elements into Battlefield 3. Like you're going to do that, or are you going to stick with sort of the Battlefield philosophy and just make it so good that people can't ignore it?
Yeah, well, I mean, if we make Battlefield, we need to pay attention to the core values that we've always had from back in 2002 to 2011 and BF3. I mean, the core values are sandbox. It's a sandbox game. It's a fun sandbox game in multiplayer. It's easy to play, hard to master, and that kind of stuff. And then we have the 5 core values for the engine that I told you guys about before. And of course, if we make a brand new game in 2011, which is a sequel to Battlefield 2, we need to adjust ourselves to what the FPS scene looks today. It looks without without crossing any borders. You know, we
Yep.
we need to stick to the true Battlefield experience
Yeah.
with the standards of today.
Yeah. Right on.
And there's always going to be competition out there. Of course. I mean, we're in the golden age of gaming. Everyone is making a game these days, whether it's on
Yeah.
the iPad or iPhone or on the PC,
Yeah, for sure.
console, indie games, whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
we just need to build our perfect game. And I think many people on the development side feel that way.
Yeah.
That we need to build a perfect game for people who want to play it. And there is
Yeah.
always going to be competitors, but that's also for other people to worry about. I
Yeah.
try to be a community manager more on the development side than on the marketing side. So,
Okay.
but
Right
I do think there's some truth to targeting COD.
Mm-hmm.
But that's on a completely different level, though.
Well, I mean, there's, clearly they have, like Call of Duty the last 2 years has shattered records for sales of, not video games, not movies, not music, but like every entertainment thing
Yeah.
ever. And so, I mean, obviously targeting that market share, it's going to play a factor if you're going to be a competitor in the video game industry. But I think what a lot of people in the community want to see is that you guys put out a product that's, true to Battlefield and is just so goddamn good that people who have been traditionally Call of Duty players can't help but take notice. And to be honest, when I was first playing on console, and most people like to bash me because I didn't get started in PC gaming, etc. I'm getting there, guys. Give me a break. But I started out with Call of Duty 4, World at War, Modern Warfare 2, and it was after Modern Warfare 2 that I actually stumbled on Bad Company 2, and then have gone back since into Bad Company 1. And I mean, obviously being on the console, I only have access to those two titles at the moment, and 1943. But it was just one of those things that when I first started playing Bad Company 2, it was so different, and it was very, very frustrating. But it was a fun frustrating. Like, you could tell it was something good. And, people will criticize, like whether it's commentators or people in the media, who go out and give a game a shitty review because they play the game and they suck at the game. But I like to think that
Sounds like something I would do.
But I like to think that I can get a bit more credit than that, and because when I played Bad Company 2 for the first time, I absolutely sucked at it, but it was definitely something that I couldn't put down, right? And hey, many people would argue, and I post video evidence of it frequently. Many people would argue that I still suck at it, but I've definitely gotten better, and it's something that I've really enjoyed playing. So, I see. It's one of those things that hopefully people will take the time to will invest the time in getting the full enjoyment out of that game, because I think that if you've never played any sort of a Battlefield title before, you haven't played it like a game built on the Frostbite engine before, it's going to take a bit of time to get used to, and hopefully folks will invest that time to fully appreciate how good it's going to be.
Yep.
So,
and obviously you have to you have to put in some of the casual elements to make the casual players from COD and stuff come over, because you do need the buyer base. And
yeah, it's business, right? It's there is still a bottom line. So as much as everyone has their ideals, there always is that financial bottom line, and it's a function of how far do you go one way or the other in order to hit that. And obviously it's probably not anything you can talk about here, but I think that everyone needs to be appreciative of that fact that, certain things that diehard, there is no Battlefield other than Battlefield 2 type fans need to realize is that, if that's the philosophy that DICE takes and they don't appeal to that broader audience, then there's not going to be any more Battlefield beyond Battlefield 3. Like there needs to be, that success in a competitive environment. And so as long as we have a good game, I think this is just me speaking for me, as long as we have a really good game that people are happy with, that doesn't violate the Battlefield philosophies too much, then I think that it's going to be a solid winner.
Yeah, I mean, when Battlefield 2 came out, everyone was playing Battlefield 42 and Vietnam.
Yeah,
that was the shit back then. Everyone was like, wow, this is perfect game. Battlefield 2 came out. It did some things better. According to me, it did a lot of things better. But some people felt that this wasn't really Battlefield. And now, 5 years after that game has been released, people are saying Battlefield 2 was a real Battlefield game.
Yeah.
And you need to do that with Battlefield 3. It's like, how much does mentality change over the time span, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But you always have to adjust to certain things, whether you want it or not.
Yeah, try as you want. Like, you're never going to please everyone. So,
yeah,
I totally understand.
This has been episode 2 of 3 of the Don't Revive Me Bro podcast interview with Daniel Matros, the Global Battlefield Community Manager for DICE. Stay tuned to Pixel Enemy for episode 3 coming soon.